welcome. My sister coming too.
It probably won't happen. I'm in charge of birthday cards in June. I haven't got started yet.
Well, that's a long way away.
Yeah, like tomorrow. Oh, no. December.
Okay, that's a
Tomorrow.
big difference. Hi, Gracie. How are you? Are you in charge of this?
Yeah, Evan's traveling, so I've been promoted without deserving it, I think. Oh, thank you.
Good morning. And on behalf of the Board of Trustees, I'm happy to welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Swananoa Valley. Glad to have everyone here. As you use, we strive to create change in ourselves, in the world. 7 days a week, Unitarian Universalists live their faith by doing. Whether in community with others or as an individual, we know that active, tangible expressions of love, justice, and peace are what make a difference. Embracing peace, love, and understanding that go beyond individual belief systems, we want to reach out and join. So let's take advantage of this time we spend together today in this place to help us focus on somehow making the world a better place as we venture out on this Sunday and every day. If you are new to Unitarian Universalism, you might take a note of our mission statement, which is printed on the front of the order of service. We also work together to promote and practice our 8 principles, which are printed on the back of the order of service. Now, it's our tradition to welcome first and second time visitors, or those of you who haven't been here for a while, to stand if you're comfortable doing so, and introduce yourselves and tell us where you're from, and we'll start right here. Kay.
Hi, I'm Kay. I live next door to Peter and Nancy, and I've been here a couple times very sporadically, and I brought my family with me today from out of town from Pennsylvania. So, thank you.
It's great to have you all here. Anyone else on this side? Yes?
My name is also Kay. I was one of the interns at UU Asheville over the past year.
Great.
So I'm looking for a spiritual home after that.
Okay, thank you. Glad to have you here. Enjoy your stay here. On this side, anybody visiting? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Jim. My wife married and spending our half year here and just back from our other half of the year in May.
Oh.
Good to be back.
Welcome home.
Good, welcome. Anyone else? Hey.
Hi, my name is Rena. I go to school at Warren Wilson. I grew up in Minnesota and Wisconsin, going to UU Church, and I really miss it, so I
hope you come back. We spent some time at Warren Wilson. We sent a group over there to tour last year, and it's what a place. We love it. So bring all your friends with you. Great. Anyone else? Oh, yeah.
So my name's Chris. I'm in school at Bellamy, and my daughter's Zoe, who wants to say something, I think.
Oh. Well, I'm glad you're all here visiting, and hope you do come back. Thank you for coming today. We'd love to get to know you much better, so if your schedules permit, please join us for our coffee hour in the portico directly after the service. Folks from our membership committee, identified with orange name tags, will be available to answer any questions you might have about us, how to get involved, how to connect, and how to find out more. An integral part of our service in the morning is reading of our land and labor acknowledgement statement, which is printed on the back of your order of service. Please listen to the words as I read them and appreciate their meaning, or if you'd like to, read along with me. We acknowledge with respect that this land is the sacred ancestral home of the Cherokee and other Native peoples who survived and continue to make their home here. We deeply regret the genocide and broken treaties by which their land was stolen and from which we all benefit. We support the Cherokee as they seek redress for these injustices. We also acknowledge that this country was built on the stolen labor and denied ownership of land and enslaved Africans who continue to experience oppression, economic injustice, and generational trauma. We bear a moral, spiritual responsibility to oppose and work to eliminate the ongoing harm of white supremacy and racism. Thank you for that. A couple of announcements. The Social Action Committee ran a sock drive for the last few weeks. 121 pairs of socks. Pretty good. Thanks for everyone's participation in that. On the immigration front, there are announcements and handouts regarding immigration on the bulletin board and in the portico today. There's a lot of good stuff on the bulletin board that we barely ever see anybody just kind of standing there taking it all in, but if you want to spend a few minutes there, it's a lot of good information for you. Let's see, you could go. Worthy Now, an affiliate of UUA, is a spiritual community that provides support for incarcerated UUs. One of their programs invites congregations to send good wishes and greetings during the holiday season, since this can be a particularly difficult time for those in prison. Please join the Social Action Committee after the service next week on Sunday, December 7th, to help us address envelopes and write brief messages on pre-approved papers. All you need is a pen with black or blue ink and perhaps a few stamps. Other supplies will be provided. A few minutes of your time can make a big difference to them. And I think that will get us to the beginning of our service. And please silence your cell phones.
Hello. I'm going to share the opening words today. These words were written by Kathleen McTeague, number 435 in your hymn book. We come together this morning to remind one another to rest for a moment on the forming edge of our lives, to resist the headlong tumble into the next moment until we claim ourselves. Awareness and gratitude, taking the time to look into one another's faces and see the communion, the reflection in our own eyes. The house of laughter and silence, memory and hope is hallowed by our presence together.
Thank you, Bellamy. And good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Andy.
Our opening hymn this morning is number 140, Hail the Glorious Golden City. So please rise as you are willing and able. And thank you, be seated, and Jim, Gorilla.
Thank you, Andy. Andy, by the way, was the one that helped me put together my first poetry book, and this is excerpted from that book. I have a chapter on family, and this shirt has a little bit of meaning, so I'm gonna do it so you can see angels landing here. In this book, I've got not only the poem Angels Landing, but an excerpted story about my brother Jeff, who I lost to AIDS, and I've abstracted it to introduce the poem. In 1992, Aline and I, that's my wife, Aline and I visited the National AIDS Memorial Quilt display on the National Mall in Washington, D.C., with my brother Jeff's panel among them. Jeff's panel has memories from each member of our family, however painful and unwilling we found this task to be. How does one choose a memory, a picture, or a few words to capture what a loved one has meant to each of us, to add our own small contribution to this memorial? What could I possibly say about my brother, who was both difficult at times and crucial to who I am today? How do I capture the myriad feelings to add to this baby blue background that our mother picked for his panel? Somehow we and thousands of others, loved ones, each did this, adding our unique memory of our loved one to those simple 3 by 6 foot cloth panels. On this day, Jeff's panel was among many thousands of others who died to convince the world that we must stop this madness. We all must help end the horrific disease of AIDS before the Names Project Quilt covers the whole world. And on that day, Aline and I decided in front of the Washington Monument to adopt a child. And the next year, our 3-month-old son came into our lives, and we named him Jeffrey Joseph for my brother and his loving partner, Joe Michael. Joe is in the picture as well. Decades later, I still miss my brother so much, especially because he is not in this picture by the monument. But this framed family portrait with us and with Joe, but absent my brother Jeff, still hangs lovingly over my desk with other family photos in the room where we now host our foster children. Just one little preview. A year before I wrote this poem, Aline's brother and I climbed one of the most strenuous hikes I've ever done, up to the top of Angel's Landing in Zion National Park. And if you've ever been there, it is so named because they thought no one could ever get to the top of that rock unless it was an angel landing from above. Just so happens that I wrote this poem on December 1st, 2018, which, as we know, is World AIDS Day. Angel's Landing. Today of all days, my faded green t-shirt simply says Angel's Landing. Last year's severe climb at Zion National Park. Today's journey, tougher still. Witnessing these panels again, the names Project Quilts on World AIDS Day. So many fallen angels, my brother among them. Bellamy's brother too. And uncle. Gone nearly 30 years, and I still miss you greatly, brother. Despite all their differences, why couldn't we see them all as angels while still among us? Next time, my brother, come some other day. Today, on World AIDS Day, spread your wings and fly, my brother, fly.
Thank you, Jim. We will now take up the offering that the work of this congregation. Oh, I apologize. Thank you, Linda. This is the moment at which we share our joys and sorrows silently. With a candle or a stone, please come forward as you will. and like this for all those unspoken joys and sorrows. Now it's time to take up our offering so that the service that Peter mentioned, the work that we do out in the world, can continue. Thank you, Dan. Thank you all for your generosity. Now, I'm not going to read the introduction to Bellamy that's in your order of service, because you've probably already read it. I want to introduce Bellamy in the context of WNCAP, Western North Carolina AIDS Project. Because when I first moved home here to Asheville in 1993, and I came back from New York City, I was stunned to learn that little old Asheville, my hometown, I grew up here, had a powerful and well-established program like WNCAP, just a dozen years after AIDS had first appeared. In New York, there were still gay men's health crisis and other emergency organizations, but there was still a lot of negative publicity and press and feeling about AIDS. And here was Asheville doing something about it. And over the years, WNCAP has provided so many opportunities to support the services that they offer. Every month, a number of my friends bring me their empty laundry detergent and cat food containers, and I take them over to the WNCAP office because they need that heavy plastic to put used needles in for their needle exchange. And for years, churches and synagogues throughout Asheville hosted services of remembrance for local people who had died of AIDS. The unhoused, people who had been kicked out by their families as teens, or who had been killed because of their LGBTQ identity. And annual World AIDS Day observances, which I've been going to since I think the first I went to was in 93 or 94. They brought together people to mourn and remember and celebrate all the lives of people affected by HIV. They came to Kenilworth Presbyterian and St. Mark's Lutheran, All Souls Episcopal in Biltmore, Synagogue Beth Hatafila, First Congregational downtown, and even more conservative places as Central United Methodist and St. Joan of Arc Catholic Church in West Asheville. WNCAP has supported food banks and clothing banks, education services and health programs, and so many other support systems that are needed to improve and often save the lives of people who are HIV positive. So I'm a big fan and supporter of that organization. And now that AIDS has been around for longer than you've been alive. Like human frailty and political corruption and the proverbial death and taxes, we've learned both to live with it and devise strategies to counteract it, and we hope even to conquer it. And here in this congregation, we bring our UU values and our covenant, which includes not just hoping, but working for a better, more inspiring future for all people. We bring those values to the fight. WNCAP's been in the fight for more than 30, 40 years, 35 years. So please join me in welcoming Bellamy Crawford from WNCAP.
Hi. Microphones give me the heebie-jeebies, so hopefully I can make it through this without fainting or whatever. My kids are in the back. I told them we came separately today, and I told them as I was leaving the house that I was nervous, and they've been back there since they got here, like craning their necks, trying to see me and making crazy faces at me, sticking out their tongues. So that's very helpful, thank you. I'm really honored to be here today to share my story and my work with you. As I was driving here today, I was listening to the Mothlight podcast and listening to these extremely talented storytellers, and the host mentioned that we derive meaning in our lives from narratives. And so I hope that what I share with you communicates clearly how much meaning my work with WNCAP gives to my life, and how much meaning I've gotten from the experiences that I've had with loving folks with HIV and losing folks that are close to me with HIV. As Andy mentioned in the order of service, I am the development director for Western North Carolina AIDS Project. We call it WNCAP, the abbreviated version of the title. WNCAP is an AIDS service organization that was started in 1986 by a group of volunteers. And in the beginning, WNCAP was a lot more like a hospice program. It was run by folks who were moved to provide food and comfort to those who were dying of HIV, of AIDS. And at that time, for many, there was heartbreakingly little time between diagnosis and death. But since the beginning of WNCAP 39 years ago, WNCAP has grown to include prevention, education, medical case management, community health worker, peer support services, which is run completely by folks with lived experience. And we also offer pharmacy services, harm reduction, which Andy mentioned, the syringe exchange, and handing out, condoms and making sure that our community is aware of the resources that we have to prevent the spread of HIV. And we also, with the help of Loving Food Resources, provide food to rural and homebound clients that need food. Today, WNCAP serves thousands of people across 18 counties in Western North Carolina. And I was putting this talk together, it occurred to me that the reason that I'm up here today is because a couple of really magical things in my life have come together at once to kind of lead to this opportunity. And the first of those things is my reconnection with the Unitarian Church. I was raised Unitarian at the Unitarian Church in Columbia, South Carolina. And I had, over the years, going to college, traveling, starting a family, I kind of lost touch with the Unitarian congregation. But this last summer, this most recent summer, I had the opportunity to take my children to the Mountain Retreat and Learning Center for intergenerational camp. And that was a profoundly grounding experience for me. I was able to really connect with some formative memories and also reconnect with the Unitarian values that I grew up with. Another magical thread that has come together to lead to my being here today is the fact that my work with Western North Carolina AIDS Project has always been motivated and guided by the memory of a beloved family member that I lost to AIDS in 1989. His name was Belvin Turnbull. And this year, for World AIDS Day, as has been mentioned, WNCAP is bringing in the National AIDS Memorial Quilt, 7 panels of the Memorial Quilt, including my Uncle Belvin's panel. And all 7 of the panels that are going to be on display at the gallery, at Revolve Gallery in the River Arts District, have been specifically requested by community members. So every single panel will contain a block of a loved one of someone in our community. So it's going to be a very important and meaningful exhibition. I've used the word magical a couple times already, and I know that that is a word that has different meanings to a lot of different people. So I wanted to share a little bit about where the definition of that word came from for me and my family. Belvin, my uncle, who was actually not my biological uncle, he was perhaps closer, however, to both of my parents than a biological sibling could have been. And yeah, to say that my parents adored Belvin would be an understatement. He was an artist, he was a deep thinker, he was a spiritual seeker, he was a soft-spoken poet, and he is actually where my definition of magic came from. I wanted to share the paintings that I brought with me, just so that you can see them. This is a painting that my mother did of Belvin a long time ago. And this is a painting that Belvin did of my mother. I think this was done when we were both like, in their 20s or something. I have both of these paintings on my back porch where I paint myself, and they sort of inspire me and connect me to the things that I love about art and people. So I wanted to share those with you. I also wanted to share some quotes that I found in a letter that my mom had written about Belvin after he had died. She wrote, "I heard it said that sometimes you love your friends because of the way that you feel about yourself when you're with them. Well, Belvin made me feel witty, whimsical, philosophical, creative, intelligent, and just a little bit like a rascal. Belvin was fun. He celebrated life. One of my favorite lithographs that he made was a picture of a charming pig with nude figures dancing in the background. It was entitled Delight Without a Cause. Belvin was delightful." In the same letter, my mother recalled a beach trip that she had taken with Belvin when they were in their late 20s. She wrote, "I remember walking on the beach, picking up seashells with him. One he would find would be a miniature Henry Moore sculpture. Another would be a fairy slipper. And another would have the colors of a Rothko painting. Belvin loved the beach. He loved paper snowflakes, Emily Dickinson, Tina Turner, Georgia O'Keeffe, pyramids, and tropical fish. He played the violin, and once he was an extra with the Royal Swedish Ballet. I was young when Belvin died, and my direct memories of him have faded with time. But what remains vivid for me is the way that Belvin made people feel. He made people feel profoundly seen and heard and centered, even children. As I grew up, my parents never stopped talking about Belvin. Every time they did, they would get a sparkle in their eye or this sort of cadence in their voice that communicated to me that Belvin's love of life and his spirit and his art were rare and beautiful. My parents would often use the word magical to describe Belvin and the paintings and artworks that he made. The stories that I heard about him, the photos that I'd seen of him, and the dozens of paintings that we had hanging in our house communicated to me and made clear to me in a visual way what this definition of magic was for them. And I wanted to share that some of these very same qualities that my parents identified and cherished about Belvin, I also found growing up in the Unitarian Church. The qualities of warmth, acceptance, curiosity, and creativity were present throughout my childhood at the Unitarian Church in Columbia. You didn't have to wear stiff dresses or uncomfortable shoes to church the way you did at my grandparents' Presbyterian church, which I really appreciated. The UU Church in Columbia was full of authentic and down-to-earth people. The UUs embraced my neurodivergence, my ADHD that could often overwhelm and throw off the dynamics of entire groups. The Unitarian community in South Carolina felt spiritual, mysterious, humble, and deeply nourishing for me. It had a similar warmth and creativity to Belvin. It had magic. As a 14-year-old camper at the Unitarian Mountain Summer Camp, I remember being in awe of a counselor who called herself Tweety. She had a giant purple mohawk, and she could sing Puff the Magic Dragon in a way that would bring everyone to tears. And I remember that same summer, there was an evening when, I don't know if you've been to the mountain retreat, but there's a big tower up on top of the mountain. And we had climbed up to the top of the tower to hold Vespers up there. And I'll never forget, our counselor had prompted us to close our eyes and reflect on our day. And, I did what I always do when I'm asked in a group to close my eyes. After about a minute, I peeked. And what I saw that night was my counselor up on the tower, cross-legged, with their arms outstretched, both of them to the clear night sky and their face uplifted to the stars. And I'd never seen anyone embody gratitude and awe of our sacred universe so openly. And the counselor who lifted their face to the stars that night was none other than Elliot Turnbull, the actual biological non-binary nephew of Belvin's. And so magic, I thought, that night must be genetic. World AIDS Day is a global day of remembrance that has been observed every year on December 1st since 1988. And the quilt panels that WNCAP is bringing in this year will be on display from December 1st to December 13th at Revolve Gallery in the River Arts District in Asheville. And like I said, the exhibit will be meaningful because Belvin's panel will be there, and all the other panels will be someone that's special to someone in the community, like I already mentioned. Belvin's panel was stitched by my mother and by Elliot Turnbull together. My mother passed away 7 years after Belvin, so the panels, has many layers of meaning to me. And I'm happy to report that I haven't seen Elliot Turnbull in a long time, but they are driving from Durham to be here at the reception of the quilt on December 6th, which I'm very excited about. A little bit about the quilt. It was created in 1987, and now it has grown to include more than 50,000 panels. It is the largest community folk art project in the world. And it preserves the memory of more than 700,000 lives lost to AIDS in the US. It is now so large that it will never in its entirety be displayed at one time in one place because no place can actually accommodate its size. To anyone familiar with Unitarian beliefs and values, nothing exemplifies the interconnectedness of all human beings and the goal of a world community of peace more than the AIDS Memorial Quilt. Each quilt panel honors an individual life, often someone ignored, stigmatized, or erased by society. Creating a panel for the quilt says this person mattered. Their life had beauty, and they deserve to be remembered with love and specificity. The quilt began because families and friends demanded compassion in the face of government inaction and public cruelty. The quilt is activism expressed through love. It is stitched protest, stitched grief, and stitched justice. It is a collective refusal to let bigotry or silence define people who deserve care, equity, and humanity. During the early AIDS crisis, public truth was distorted by fear and stigma. The quilt forced the nation to confront the real human truth of the epidemic. It made the invisible visible. It asked millions of visitors to confront the question, what does it mean to remember, honor, and act responsibly in the face of injustice? Today, over 1.2 million people in the US live with HIV. In North Carolina, HIV transmission rates had experienced a few years of steady decline. Between 2018 and 2022, the total estimated number of folks living with HIV in North Carolina decreased from 36,000 to 31,000, a decrease of about 12%. Unfortunately, in 2023, that number of new infections grew to over 39,000. And by the end of last year, the number had increased to 45,300. Furthermore, it is estimated that 13% of people living with HIV are unaware of their status. The South, including our own state of North Carolina, accounts for more than half of new diagnoses in this entire country. And young people ages 13 to 34 account for half of those new diagnoses. What makes these numbers especially frustrating and devastating is that we now have the strongest prevention and treatment tools that we've had in the history of this virus. We are able to identify regions of highest risk and focus efforts in these areas. We have medications like PrEP and PEP. And in case you haven't heard of those before, PrEP stands for PEP stands for post-exposure prophylaxis. It needs to be taken within 3 days of exposure to HIV, and it lowers the risk of contracting HIV. PrEP stands for pre-exposure prophylaxis, and it needs to be taken before exposure to HIV, and it helps reduce your chance of contracting it. It's for people who live in who are at high risk of contracting the virus, and you can take it preventatively. Effective treatments like PrEP and PEP suppress the virus to levels that make sexual transmission impossible. I don't know if you've heard of U equals U, undetectable equals untransmittable. Treatment also dramatically reduces the risk of perinatal transmission and transmission through shared injection equipment. However, because we are currently experiencing a cultural crisis, and that's really affecting funding and research, and despite the tools that we have, we are watching a resurgence of hate-fueled media, anti-LGBTQ legislation, cuts to Medicaid, and sweeping federal funding reductions to services and research. I don't know that many people understand that the virus of HIV changes and mutates the same way other viruses do. So just because we have a medication that can prevent its spread now doesn't mean that that same medication will be effective in the future. And if we are not having government support for research and science, the medication that we have now may no longer work. So cuts to that research, is absolutely devastating. And the threat of a resurgence of the HIV epidemic it's not an abstract threat. The things that we're experiencing right now in our country will cause increased HIV transmission. This is a guarantee. And this transmission is especially harmful and affects communities that are already marginalized, right? So Black and brown communities, houseless communities, queer communities, and low-income communities. We are in real danger right now of reversing decades of progress won through unimaginable courage and sacrifice. Activists in the 1980s and 90s poured into the streets shouting, "Silence equals death." Their relentless fight for healthcare, research, and treatment saved millions of lives. And that fight is now ours to continue. WNCAP carries this mission, the mission of the activists, forward through community-led prevention and care grounded in the Unitarian values of justice, equality, compassion, and the respect for the inherent dignity of every person. Having people with lived experience on the ground, leading, creating, and implementing HIV prevention and care services is the absolute best way to pave the way for a no HIV generation. WNCAP hires clients and folks with lived experience more than any other nonprofit that I've worked for. And I've worked for almost half the nonprofits in all of this region. WNCAP, I'm very proud of this fact that WNCAP hires clients. It's a beautiful thing that they do, and it's an absolute necessary thing that they do. I wanted to share with you a little bit of statistics of our work from the 2024-25 fiscal year. During that time, WNCAP served over 4,600 people. We delivered 29 tons of food to remote homebound clients. We reported 352 overdose reversals. We provided 600 free HIV and hepatitis C tests. This work saves lives, but we can't do it alone. We are, as I've mentioned before, at a cultural turning point where every choice we make matters. The media that we consume, the food we buy, the policies we support, and the conversations we have, even the silence that we allow. Harmful legislation could cause irreversible damage within months, but together we can protect the progress that the activists fought so hard to achieve. So I have a call to action for you. I would like you to please consider supporting WNCAP's work and get involved. Consider volunteering and donating. I have flyers that look like this out in the foyer. This flyer gives information about how you can, sign up to volunteer for WNCAP, make a donation, and also there's a QR code here if you would like to RSVP to come to the reception for the quilt, which is taking place on December 6th at Revolve Gallery on Riverside Drive. There's also a neat opportunity that Jim, who is just up here, has pulled together for his residents over at Deerfield Community. It's Givens. Gosh, I do that every time, I'm so sorry. Givens Community, they are actually gonna be showing tomorrow, starting at around 10:30. They're gonna be showing the documentary Common Threads, and speaking a little bit, listening to a little bit more about WNCAP's work, and then going together as a group to view the quilts. So if you all would be interested in joining that, Jim welcomes you all to that as well. And, I want to really express how important community support is. It's critical, especially right now. We have to talk about this. We have to bring our community together and keep talking about it even when it's uncomfortable. We have to talk about PrEP, and we have to talk about PEP. I think I read a statistic a while back that said, a very small percentage, 6%, I think, of high school students nowadays have ever been tested for AIDS. And we heard earlier that a big percentage, 50% of the people contracting HIV now are within that age range. So it's so important that we talk to children and young folks about it and encourage testing. We need to get involved politically. You need to call your representatives, you need to show up at rallies, 3 months from now, it may be too late to keep new legislation, harmful bills and policies and budget cuts from causing long-term or irreversible damage. So I hope that collectively we can and will do the right thing, the Unitarian thing, but each of us has to take the first step. You know, if silence equals death, then your voice equals life. Thank you.
Thank you, Bellamy. That was a wonderful and informative and I think inspiring message for us. I'm going to do a bit of meditation and prayer, if you like those words, before our closing hymn and closing words. This moment is called a time of meditation, a time to think, to question, to wonder, and for some to pray. For me, it's a time to set my mind into a different state, where the words I hear from the pulpit are licensed to stop focusing on the words themselves and reach out to the places I don't have time for every day. To think about the people who are rarely in my thoughts, neighbors with young children who are on a limited income, the people I avert my eyes from who are asking for money on the street, people who have nobody in the world to light a candle for them. I try to bring those forgotten people into my mind and into my heart. We say here that love is our doctrine, that the single central tenet of Unitarian Universalism is to love, to embrace the world and all those in it. We search for wisdom, for truth with a capital T. And how much of the truth we seek is lodged in our wise little brains, and how much in our hearts? That's a balance nobody has ever answered. But as Peter said in his welcome this morning, service is our prayer. When I pray or meditate, that's where my head and heart go. What have I done for others lately? Whom have I forgotten or ignored? What service have I given? To whom? How have I shared myself? My heart? A meal? A gentle touch? A visit to a friend? A joyful celebration with neighbors of our gratitude? And this is Thanksgiving weekend still. Those are the things that this congregation, this community, this place are all about. Love, wisdom, and service. Let's take a moment of silence to ponder that while we are together. We find our way. Now let's rise as you are willing and able and sing our closing hymn, number 170, often thought of as the gay anthem from the 70s. We are a gentle, angry people.
And the closing words today, I'll share. Our grief is a holy thing. It is visceral proof that another life touched ours in a profound way. It is a mark of love, a sign of connection, and clear evidence of a life well lived. Our service today has ended, but our service to our community now begins. There are many things, again, you can do to support those impacted by HIV in the region of Western North Carolina. Get involved with WNCAP's work, volunteer, donate to help us sustain our life-saving programs and services, talk with your friends and family about ending the still present stigma around HIV, and encourage them not to be silent, but to take action in any way that they are able. May the strength that we have gained in this communal hour sustain us as we resume the work that is at hand.